What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Jiu Jitsu Journal by Quotes and Chokes Instructionals. Today we're not going to talk about a technique instructional. We're going to kind of talk a little bit about a pretty divisive matter, which is leg locks. Are they safe to practice? Are they dangerous to practice? And do I recommend that you practice them? Alright, so first, there is no denying now at this point that leg locks are effective. The whole leg lock sucks thing came, I think, just from people who didn't know how to defend them and then didn't want to count that as like, it was like a thing where if you were rolling with someone and they caught you with like a foot lock, you're like, oh yeah, I tapped, but it was a foot lock, so, you know, not really. But they're definitely like a useful technique that if you are at a certain level of experience, you need to learn them. And that kind of brings me into kind of my opinion on this whole thing. When should you start learning them? Do I think that leg locks are dangerous? Yes, but so are Kimuras and so are arm bars. Like the concept of, oh, well, if you leg lock me, you can blow my knee out. Well, yeah, but if you arm bar me, I can blow my shoulder out or my elbow out too. So that's kind of, you know, when you're in this sport, we're already playing with fire. So, I mean, you're always going to be at risk of injury. And you're always going to be responsible for, you're responsible for the injuries that happen to you, I believe, at least 95%. There are certain people who might injure you, but that's on you to not roll with those people. I mean, it's pretty apparent who they are as soon as you roll with them, and there's nothing wrong with, when it comes time to roll in class, I don't stand there looking around, right? Like usually when it comes time to roll in class, I look down at the ground and I'm looking in my peripherals, waiting for the right person to like, okay, these are guys that are cool to roll with. And if you can't find people like that, you're probably training at the wrong place. So I think that leg locks are effective. I think that they can be trained safely, and injury can be avoided when you train with them. I've been training leg locks for years, and I've never had one leg lock injury. Maybe one very minor one, but I've had more like upper body injuries than I can even count. So the way that you can practice them safely is to kind of make sure you're being safe. There's a few things that you can do. One is the first and most important thing is be choosy on who you are going to train them with. You need to train with somebody who's going to put you in a leg lock, secure the leg lock, and here's a big thing. They're not going to just let go, but they're also not going to just tear on that leg lock either. There needs to be like, I've got you in a lock, I'm going to hold this tight, and I'm going to slowly apply pressure so that you have a second or two to work your defense. Because otherwise, when you get someone who's like, oh, I grab it, let go, like, you're never going to learn how to escape leg locks like when they're doing that to you. They're cheating you out of an opportunity to get better. So you need to like find your partners and talk with them about like leg locks and be like, let's work on our leg locks. But this is how we're going to apply them, and this is how we're going to allow each other to do so we can both get better. The next thing is like, you know, drill your defenses, drill your escape patterns, and be thoughtful when you're rolling, right? So like if someone puts you in a leg lock, don't freak out, and you know, be ready to tap, but you need to like be aware of which way you need to turn. There's a whole kind of thing about like, oh, when someone puts you in a leg lock, if you roll the wrong way, you just blow your leg out. Well, like think about which way you're rolling. And if you don't have time to think about which way you're rolling, tap first. Those would be kind of the two main things I would say is if you want to practice leg locks, be choosy who you do it with, or sorry, that's three things. Be choosy who you do it with, talk with your partners about how you're going to practice leg locks so that you're able to get better, and then also be ready to tap and be thoughtful of what you're doing, not just freaking out through your roll. So that kind of brings us to the last point. Do I recommend leg locks for you? And I think that question comes down to two things. Most importantly, do you have your ego in control on the mat? And be honest with yourself. You know if you do or not. Do you lose control when you're about to, like, when someone's beating you? Do you get frustrated and angry? Or, I mean, everybody does, right? But do you get frustrated and angry to the point where you're out of control of what you're doing? If the answer is yes, then no. Don't practice leg locks for the sake of others around you. but learn that first and then get to them, right? Like, because if you can't learn that, then you're gonna run into other problems anyways. So yeah, most importantly, do you have your ego in control? Because you can practice leg locks if you're willing to tap, and you can be aware of like if your ego's in control and you're not, that's gonna enable you to not freak out and then be able to think through how you're gonna escape. The second thing is under that question, right? If the answer is yes, I've got my ego in control, how long have you been training? And I would say that's gonna be different for everybody, right? Like, as long as you've been training long enough to where you understand, how the locks apply pressure to which joints and which directions the pressure comes from. Like, if you have been training, put enough time in the mat where you understand like the anatomy of like the joint locks, then you can probably safely practice leg locks if you apply them one way or another, or if you apply them in the proper manner, right? So do you have your ego in control? How long have you been training? And that should be able to give you an answer on if you should start training leg locks. Now, if the answer is yes, this is the last point. If the answer is yes, start with drilling and escaping them for several months before you start rolling with them. I think that's a huge thing because, like I said, you need to be able to not freak out and roll the wrong way. Drill them for several months, drill all the escapes, drill all the attacks, right? It's really important you drill the attacks and not just the escapes. And then once you feel comfortable with all of them, then you can start doing control rolls with the right partners and practice your leg locks and get better in that area. The one thing I do want to add, if you do decide to take my advice on this, if you are training leg locks, like, I'm not saying that you're not at risk of getting injured. So let me be clear. If you're training leg locks, you are at risk of injuring your knee or injuring your ankle or your hip or whatever. But if you're training Jiu Jitsu, you're at risk of injuring every other part of your body that exists. Okay, so don't go out, make this decision for yourself. Don't go out and be like, I'm gonna train leg locks because this guy on YouTube said everything is gonna be fine. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you wanna get good at Jiu Jitsu, I recommend training it as long as you can accept the fact that you are at risk of injury. All right, guys, so that's what I think about leg locks. If you like this video and you appreciate the information, hit that like button. If you disagree with me and you wanna talk about it, comment below. And if you want to see more videos, including kind of concepts like this, as well as instructional techniques, hit that subscribe button right there, and we will see you very soon.